Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Dan Cartalicchio. I want to welcome you to another segment of Destination Health Podcast, where we're finding function in a dysfunctional world. I want to welcome a good friend of mine. We've been talking for over a year to come on the podcast. She kept on saying no. She says that she didn't say no. She did say no, but that's okay. We're friends. We met at a course and we became fast friends. And I want to welcome Felicia Starks to the program today. Felicia, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for the invite, Dan. And thank you for not giving up on my no's, even though they were not no's.
It's okay. It's okay. We're just having some good-natured fun here, Felicia and I. But, you know, when we were talking, I was listening to her story and I said, she fits exactly what we want when it comes to our podcast, because everybody listening, that our motto is to motivate, educate, and inspire. So right off the bat, Felicia was a slave to food for years. 2004, she took control of her life, her mindset, transformed her body. She was a size 14 to 16. Now she's a size 4, even after having her son. And she's maintained her weight loss for 15 years and counting. She became a certified personal trainer, lifestyle weight management specialist. She goes on stage. To me, she's a figure pro. She was in New Jersey about 2 weeks ago. I didn't get a chance. I was busy in the office. I didn't get a chance to go to Teaneck and to watch her. Since reclaiming her health, losing the weight, discovering that 40 is like the new 18? I think 60 is the new 25. So that's always good. She has a bachelor's of science degree in telecommunication management from DeVry. However, she's in the health and fitness. She's the owner of Stark Naked Nutrition, online fitness, nutrition, and custom meal guidance. I love your post about it, by the way. And she owns Fabulous Wellness Studios in Arlington, Texas. Felicia, welcome to the program. In 2004, what happened? What was that moment in time that you said to yourself, I don't want to be size 16 anymore. This is just not who I am. What happened?
Great question. So I worked at Mercedes-Benz Financial at the time and had just graduated the previous year from DeVry. And a friend of mine, Dr. Kimberly Ellison, she walked past me, and you probably have seen where you saw someone and then you saw them and I know I saw her, but she looked differently. And maybe God just had me pay attention to her. So I stopped her and asked her, what are you doing? Because I saw you not too long ago and you have lost weight. She told me that she started Weight Watchers and she gave me all the information. Come to find out, my employer paid for us to go, and this is before Weight Watchers became online. There was there was nothing online. It was just, you had to go to meetings. And so that's how I got started with my journey. So prior to that, I remember my husband buying a 1-year membership to a gym. And I never asked him. I'm sure in his mind, he was like, well, if I buy this membership, she'll go. But to me, I was like, I don't want to go to the gym. I went one time and it was right before New Year's, before it expired. So I was like, at least I'm gonna use it. But
we're gonna get one workout in.
I'm gonna get one workout in, so it's not a complete waste of money.
So it's not a complete waste of money and time, right?
Yeah. So I did one workout, and that was before working out was never my thing. He would always go, but I was like, nah, that's okay. So in 2004, when I saw her, I started Weight Watchers because I kept blaming my husband, telling him that he must be shrinking the clothes because my clothes were getting tighter and tighter. Never taking full accountability or responsibility for me stopping by Einstein Bagels every Saturday to pick up bagels.
I understand. So what was the mindset then that you had to change in your life when you looked at your friend, Dr. Ellison? What was that? What was that look that that you had given her? Like this has got to change now, right?
Great question. So I was in the, we had been, let's see, I've been married maybe 5 years, I think. I can't remember. I had been married a few years and we had started talking about starting a family. And I had friends that had had kids and had talked about how hard it was to lose weight after you have a baby.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, I saw Kimberly start Weight Watchers. That way I can go ahead and lose the weight. So whenever we do decide to start a family, it won't be as hard. That was my mindset at the time. But she had a
Now,
lot of confidence that I didn't have. And I was like, I want that kind of confidence.
so you lack confidence during this time.
Yes.
Was it because of the weight? Was it because of who you were at that time? Was it just whatever?
All of the things.
All of the above.
All of the Felicia that is you see now is not the Felicia mindset wise then.
Oh yeah, and I'm going to post a picture of Felicia on stage if it's okay with you, Felicia.
That's fine.
Okay, I'm going to go. I mean, you know, we're friends on all social media. I'm just going to pick one from the T-Next show because you have some before and after pictures, and it's rather remarkable the transformation that you went through. You and I have a very similar story when it comes to that. How tough was that to transform yourself? I mean, you know, you were a slave to food, you were addicted to food. How tough was it to change and to make these positive lifestyle changes?
It is tough mentally because you have to keep reminding yourself what you told yourself you wanted.
Mhm.
Because I can say all day, I want to lose weight, I want to do this. But when you are in the trenches and doing it, that's when either you're going to do it or you're not. So it's definitely tough. And if you don't have a good support system, it's even more difficult.
Yeah, if you don't have somebody being your cheerleader saying, go ahead, go, I understand, and so forth, it becomes very, very difficult. What were some of those struggles? So it sounds like you didn't have much of a support system at the time, right? So what were some of the other struggles that you had in order to go from point A to point B? Not even being on stage, not even being a figure pro, not even getting up there as my coach says, you know, Dan, you're going to get up there in a mankini at some point in time. And, you know, and I just started laughing. It was hysterical when he said that, Felicia. I mean, because when you're up there, you're in this bikini and you're being judged on every centimeter of your body, right? What were some of those struggles that you had when you first started this?
So, and I just had this thought when you were talking. It was a 10-year difference between the time that I started, like changed my mindset as far as like me changing my how I saw food,
Right.
versus when I started the process to compete. So, but the in between those 10 years was just also the struggles were mostly making sure that I was prepared ahead of time, meaning with my food. There wasn't, when I first started Weight Watchers, there wasn't an emphasis on working out because it was like, start with the food first, because that's most of the time, that's where the issues are. So started with the food. And that was probably the hardest thing because as much as I say I was a slave to food, it was like, okay, yeah, you can have it, but do you really need it? Or is it just, are you trying to feel an emotional something that you feel like, because a lot of times we eat our emotions as opposed to actually feeling our emotion.
Right, because there's a food addiction that you have, right? There's that food addiction that you have. And then from there, it becomes an emotional eating situation. What was that emotional eating for you? Why were you emotionally eating?
A lot of it was because of the marriage. There wasn't any physical. it was more emotional, and sometimes there would be the verbal things that were said. And so once you break me down, of course, there was no child involved at the time. So I'm gonna stick in it, and we're gonna make this work. We even did counseling and stuff like this. But even when you hear something hurtful, or you don't want to, sometimes it could be hurtful to you, maybe the delivery, but the facts of it is true, something that maybe you did or did not do. So dealing with that, probably more so the emotional part of just being in a marriage, the ebbs and flows of a marriage.
And so it sounds like that marriage had ended, and then you were able to do a little bit more when that marriage ended. So now, what was that moment in time where you said, I'm going on stage? I'm 60. I have imperfections. I'm trying to perfect them. I got a shoulder workout right after this with my son. He plays hockey, so we're gonna go move some iron. What was that moment in time that you said, I don't know, I want to go on stage?
In 2014, I was about to turn 40, and I had planned. I was like, oh, I want to have a birthday party, and I want to look amazing. So a friend of mine, she had competed before. Our sons went to school together. She had did a competition, I think 2 years prior, and she said, you can contact my coach. I'm getting ready for a competition, but we can work out together. I was like, okay. I did not contact him. And she was like, hey, he said you didn't call. I was like, shoot, that means I really got to call. And at this time, I'm a trainer. So I'm like, I really don't want to train with a trainer. I'm a trainer. I don't need help.
You need a coach.
Well, yes. Here's the thing. You don't know what you don't know. So I ended up contacting him, and I was like, this is a lot of money. And I remember him telling me how much it would be. And so
it's not cheap for me to come for meal prep for a show to come see me. I can tell you that right now.
You said what?
If somebody comes to see me for a show, for a meal prep, it's not inexpensive. It could be rather expensive, right?
Yes, absolutely. So I contacted him. The goal was never to compete. There was never at that point. I was just wanting to get fit for my birthday, which was in June. So
a lot of people do that, Felicia, right? They got something coming up, a birthday, a wedding, and then all of a sudden, I want to look good. I want to be the belle of the ball. I want all my friends to dote over me. I want everybody. I want the males, the females. I want the kids to sit there and say, wow, Felicia, you look really good, don't you? Right? It's always that way, right?
Yes. So I was working out, doing what he told me to do. And he was like, you coming down really good and following, what I'm telling you to do. Have you ever thought about competing? I said, nope. I said, the only thing I thought about when I was little, I wanted to be in beauty pageants, but I never told anyone because I was really shy. I'm still, even though I'm crazy and I crack up on social media, I'm still shy to an extent. Like, I'm a very quiet person. And so I was like, no, hadn't. And he was like, you should consider it. He was like, because what'll happen, you'll go to the competition, you'll see some people, and then you'll be like, well, shoot, I could have did this competition. I should have just did it.
Right.
I was like, what the heck? Why not? I can do it one time. And that one time turned into 13 times.
So you've been on stage 13 times.
I believe it's been at least 13 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how many, and what time frame was that?
2000. I've competed every year since 2014.
I was going to say, you're competing every year.
Yes,
right?
I've competed every year. Some years there would be more than one competition in a year.
All right, we're going to have to make a team Felicia, I think, here, and we're going to have to get you Get you. I mean, I'm in the really old division. If I do this, I'm in the old division.
I've seen men that are older than you, so you can't say that you're old.
Okay, so I won't say that I'm old, but if they're 70, I can beat them right now. That's all I'm gonna say. All right. All right.
I'll tell you this. I used to think, oh, okay, if you're older, this is when I first got into it. I was like, okay, they're older, probably won't be as competitive. All lies. The ones that are the most competitive, in my opinion, and that I've seen, are the ones that are in the 40, 50, 60, 70, 80.
Right, because we have something to prove.
Yes.
What did you have to prove? Besides getting up there and looking like the belle of the ball, and so forth, what did you have to prove?
That I could start something and finish it.
Did you have trouble starting things and finishing things in your life?
Yes. Yes.
Tell us about that.
I was the classic. I would start a project, or I would start a course or something, and I wouldn't finish. I would get uninterested in it. Things may become difficult in the middle, and I would be like, nah, I'm just gonna do that. And I was like, I don't want to be the queen of unfinished projects. So it was tough, because if anyone has ever competed or been close to someone that has competed, the things that you don't see on social media are the things that are like the most difficult.
Of course.
The daily mindset of, okay, you're gonna get up and do this workout or not? Are you going to eat your food like you're supposed to or not?
Right.
Because it's really you versus you every day.
It's you versus you every single day. No matter if you're in business,
no matter if you're
what you do in life, oh boy, we're hitting it now. It's always you versus you. You got to look in that mirror. So when you opened up Fabulous, it's you against you.
Yes.
It's up to you to make that work. If it doesn't work, it's because you didn't do what you were supposed to do.
And even when you mentioned the you versus you, as far as the business, had I not gone through the competitions and the mental toughness that you have to have and the mindset that you have to have, it made me better as a business person. It made me a better mother. It made me a better person, period. Daughter.
You just answered my next set of questions, because now you're going to mentor your son, who's 16 years old, and now you're going to mentor him. Now he's going to take what you have learned in your life and you're going to give it to him, because he's a teenager, like my son's a teenager, and of course they know everything, and you know nothing, and I know nothing, and so forth and so on, because they just know everything. I don't know. Yeah, last night I just walked away from him. I don't know what he was saying. I just said, I've never heard of your thought process before in my life, but I'm old, and I'm going to tell you, you're going to fall flat on your face. When you do, I'm here to help you and to tell you, not that I told you so, but I told you so. But now
he has been in the gym with me since I started in 2014.
How old was he? How was he at that time?
He was 8.
Yes.
Yeah, he was 8.
So he was just doing like push-ups, sit-ups, and
At the time, now this is Metroflex Gym in Arlington. It's a hardcore gym. It is dirty. It's grungy. It's nasty.
I like that. That's old school. You go in, Felicia, and it's not pretty, right? You go in, there's only one reason why you're there, and that's to move the iron. You're not there for, you don't have your 80s spandex on where you're doing whatever,
you're not there to be cute at all.
No.
So he's been there. At first he would go, because remember, the friend of mine, our kids they went to school together. So a lot of times we would take them up there, and they would occupy themselves together. They have like the box, they have some stuff. So it's not there's no kids club, but he would go, and eventually once he got, I think 12, ever since he was 12, every other week he would go work out. So on Saturdays he would do workouts with me. Now he goes, so we have a treadmill here, we have workout equipment. We have workout equipment here. He goes and does his stuff on his own without me even saying anything now. So a lot of the things that I have learned and picked up along the way, mindset wise, has helped me as a parent be able to not fly out the handle when I hear different stuff or whatever.
Because
It's
a
just helped a
teenager
lot.
never says something crazy that you want to look at him and go,
Right.
what is the matter? What is it that you want to do? Right. And
Yeah.
you know, probably your parents and my parents dealt with it a little bit differently.
Yes.
Right. Right.
Yes.
But you look at them and you go, what? Are
Yeah.
you nuts?
Yes. Yeah.
So let's talk more about your positive transformation. Became a better parent, became a better business person, so that you can run your business. What else came out of this?
It gave me a different perspective on life, period. I always will say that I get downloads from God when I'm working out, and I was like, it's such an unopportune time, in my opinion, but okay, apparently there's a reason for me to get these downloads, because a lot of times you can listen to something on TV or you can watch something and be able to apply it to whatever it is that you do. And that's what I have been able to do. So I'm the inspirer, I'm the motivator, I'm the person that's gonna make you laugh. So it just gave me a different perspective on life, period. I grew up in a strict Baptist household, and so things were different then, and not that they're different in my life now, but I see a different perspective to
It's
things.
opened your mind to different opportunities.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I'm not scared to take risk like I was before. Like, of course, nothing crazy, but I understand that with almost everything that you decide to do, there is a positive thing that can happen and there's a negative. If there's enough positives, I'm going to go for it. And like you said earlier, if it does not work out, it's on me. I can't blame anyone else except me.
Positive risk taking is okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you want to be an entrepreneur, you're going to take positive risks, you know. And a friend of mine, I was talking to him last week, you know, and he has a business coaching business, and, you know, make all the mistakes, fail fast, that fail fast forward type of a thing. You're going to learn, because you really don't fail. You kind of learn, and you learn what needs to get done, because, you know, I have friends of mine that I mentor in the nutrition business, and sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't. Mm-hmm. And what happens is that sometimes you get your head handed to you, but then you have to learn on your own when it comes to that. You know, I grew up in a strict Italian family, you know, and so forth. And it was definitely interesting breaking some of the molds at different points in time. So we'll discuss that off air. You know, it was definitely an interesting thing. Did you find that you had a lot of low self-esteem prior to all of this? Was that a major contributing factor?
Yes, I did.
All right. So here's the question. Where did it come from? Where did you pick up on that?
Childhood things that were said, and I remember some of them, but I know them to not be true. But as a young, I think maybe middle school or even elementary, things that were said, classmates that made fun of me, made fun of how I looked. Now it's like, that's such a lie. Mm-hmm. And so I tell my son often, I said, kids will say things, they will say things about you, but a lot of times they're projecting things that they don't like about themselves.
All the time. The time, because I look at it and I'm thinking of my friend who's a business coach, life coach and stuff. You know, you trust your parents, you trust your teachers, you're supposed to listen to them, right? Doesn't mean they're right all the time. And it doesn't mean that they were doing this to hurt you, because this is what they knew. Right. This is what they knew to be true in life. So they were guiding you from their perspective. May not be what you want. It may not be your perspective. And when it comes to kids, You know, they could be really, mean, and they could be really vicious and violent when they say things. It's that bullying thing. Again, we used to deal with bullying in my generation a little bit differently than it is done today. There wasn't much talking that was
Right.
done, back in those days. So, but in order to move forward, you have to sit there and say something's not right, and you need to sit there and say, well, I want something different, but I could still be who I am. I could still be this, this, and this, but I'm just going to look at it from a different perspective, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you bring this to your clients when you get clients in?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Tell us about, well, before we get to your clients, tell us about a risk that you took recently that worked out for you, and tell us about a risk that you took recently that didn't work out for you, and what did you learn?
Oh, those are great questions. So the
I
first
always have great questions. So you
You
thought we
sure
were going to
do.
talk about macros and micros.
No, I'm glad we're not. That's so boring.
Yeah, we'll get into that in the next. No, we're not. So in our next podcast that we do together, I'm going to select one of these topics, and we're going to go and really going to do a deep dive on it. I find this interesting because, and I've said this before, so for all of the, everybody listening today, growing up in an immigrant family, you have to overcome, and you have to, go from here to here to here. I love stories of transformation, right? Because if I'm reading a biography, I want to know that, somebody came from this point in time in their life, and now they're here, they're contributing to humankind. They're making money, because you got to make money. There's nothing wrong with that, right? So they're contributing, they're doing some positive stuff. So tell me, what was a risk that worked out well for you?
The risk that worked out well was in 2019 when I had a friend of mine that sent me the product that I started selling in 2020. She sent me the product. I used it, didn't tell anyone, later decided to invest. And I remember at that time, my funds were kind of funny, but the investment, I want to say it was $200 something. And you would think, okay, that's not a lot of money. But at the time, even though I worked in corporate America, had a degree and all that kind of stuff, it was just, at that time, it was very risky.
Life goes like this. It's ebbs and flows.
Yes. Because I used to be a payday loan queen back in the day. Terrible decisions. But anyway, so I made the investment and I purchased products. I have, and just a quick background story, I've done online marketing, affiliate marketing, all that kind of stuff, internet marketing before. Terribly, failed at it. Never could make anything sustainable. And so I did this, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know if anyone is going to buy. And I was like, I'm going to have all this product. And I'm thinking it's not even that much product, but in my head, it was like, this is $200. I need to make sure that I get my money back. And so I made the investment, and I started talking about it, and I started working with Fabulous Enterprises for the Fabulous Rub. Fast forward to June of 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, got laid off from GM Financial. Prior to June, I was selling products. I had started looking at, because I wasn't paying attention to what I was making. I was working, doing this part-time. I was making more money selling these products than I was working for GM. It was consistent for months. I just happened to look at it in April. So when June came around and I got laid off, the natural thing is like, oh, okay, I got to get another job. I was not upset because I've been with them for 5 years. Wasn't upset. I said, okay, thank you. They told me I had severance, all this kind of stuff. I knew where I was. So I took a big risk on not going back into the workforce to work for myself. The person, so years before, would not have had the discipline to even do that, because many times people are like, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be full time, not really realizing that it is not always going up, that it is one day you wake up and you on top of the world, the next day you like, nobody's responding to my calls. So I took that risk back in 2019 in December, and
Right.
it was the best risk that I could have taken.
Awesome. Awesome. Because for everybody listening today, this is important. You know, in a day in the life of an entrepreneur, you wake up in the morning, you can sit there and say, I made the best decisions yesterday. I'm on top of the world. I'm on my way. 5 minutes later, you make a bad decision. Why am I doing this? I can't make decisions. I'm a loser. An hour or two later, noon, you're having lunch, something happens. You know, you're going like that, right? You're like, I got this. That is the life of an entrepreneur.
Yes.
I love that. I love it. I love it. I love the challenge of it because it's a personal challenge. It's like you said. So tell me about a risk that didn't work out and what did you learn?
So a risk that didn't work out so well, it wasn't terrible, but in last year, so talking about, so I do nutrition. I know like nutrition, I'm the nerd. But nutrition for general like lifestyle versus contest prep is completely different. And so in 2020, I had to change. I changed the coach in the middle, like at the end of a prep, because I wasn't ready. And long story short, I ended up doing my own prep in 2020, it worked out. 2021, not so much. So what I did learn is that, yes, I can prep myself. No, it is not the best decision because you always have a blind spot.
Yeah, you do need coaches, no matter who you are, to help yourself out. And I say this to my patients. You know, I'm kind of like your nutrition coach. I'm your health coach, whatever you want to call it. I'm your doctor, but I'm guiding you. I'm coaching you from point A to point B. You got to lose 100 pounds. You had a heart attack. You've just been diagnosed with diabetes. You want to go on stage, whatever that looks like, because everybody's different when it comes to this and what they want. So you realize that you need to have people in your life that are good and positive and that can help you out, right?
And that can really keep it real with you.
That's right. Right. I like that because my son comes off the ice. He'll say to me, Dad, how did I do today? So a lot of parents, oh, you were the best. You were this, you were that. I used to be blunt, but I'm not as blunt anymore. You know, I'll say, listen, he goes, I know. And then he'll say to me, I'm going to tell you the top 3 things that I did in the game today and the top 3 things that I need to work on.
I love that.
So I was in my bank the other day and I was talking to, I was ordering one of the stamps. I lost my stamp and, you know, I know the guy and, you know, he was talking about his son. He's playing basketball and he's on him all the time and this and that. And I said, listen, when he comes off the court, what are the 3 things you did well today? Because if you yell at them, sometimes it doesn't work out when they're younger. Now that they're a little bit older in teenager years, you could get in their face a little bit more and, you know, you can motivate them, you know, that way. But I said to him, tell him, ask him, what are the 3 things you did well? What are the 3 things that you need to work on? So you can use that. You just got to give me 10% off the top for any money you make on that.
I will. Trust and believe.
Three things that you did well. And what are the 3 things you need to work on? Because it changes their headspace, Felicia. It changes their headspace into a situation where I got to figure out what I need to do to become better. Because you could sit there and look at them and say, well, your edges when you're skating were terrible today. Okay, yeah, they were. How many times did you go into the gym and you were like, I don't have it today, but I'm going to push through, but I didn't have it. Maybe I went to bed too late. Maybe I didn't eat what I was supposed to eat. I didn't drink enough water. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. Maybe it was a rest day too. Maybe I made the mistake where I had so many days in a row where I was just, you know, everything was to the wall and I was like, you know, whatever. Maybe it was an active recovery day that day today. Maybe I should have just ran. But it gets, especially I do this a lot with the young kids, it gives them the opportunity to figure something out, because a lot of the kids today, they can't figure out if they should get up out of bed or not.
Right. I love it.
Right.
Trust and believe I'm going to use it.
Yeah. So
I'll give you credit.
yeah. Then you say, listen, old Dr. Dan, he's 109 and a half, but he knows what he's talking about. So tell me, when you became a personal trainer and you have your online coaching and so forth, was that to contribute back because of what you went through?
Yes.
What does that look like for you? What does that look like for you?
I wanted to be what I needed when I first started. I wanted to shorten the learning curve on, there's so much crap that's being shared. And now that we have Reels and we have TikTok, those are all great for information, but they're also great for spreading misinformation. I wanted to make it so that if someone that was starting out, so you understand, you don't have to do all this stuff just to get results. And a lot of times people will come to me, hey, what can I do to get rid of this? And what can I do to get rid of that? Tell me what you're eating. Run me through your day. That's a common question that even my clients that are coming for body contouring, I'm asking them, run me through your day. What are you eating? Because when you can tell me what you're eating, I can tell you what the issue is.
Right, sure.
So I wanted to show up and be the person, so not just be, I'm the smartest, I can show you all these workouts, because the workouts has never been the problem for most people. The problem that they have is trying to be consistent with a diet that is set up to fail, and then also not really getting to the heart of their relationship with how they are with food.
Oh, you just hit the word, and I was going to ask you. I mean, the relationship with food is always something that's either good or bad, right? You know, I have patients that come in, you know, they tell me they're diabetic, they tell me that, you know, they're overweight, maybe they had that heart attack. And I do the diet diary, Felicia. I mean, just what they're eating during the course of the day, before I even do any blood work, I could tell you why you're at where you're at, you know? Well, you know, somebody said I can eat the fast food hamburger 3 times a week or something like that. And I'm looking at them and I'm saying, well, not for you, right? It's clearly, you know, you're, you know, it's just not working for you. And, you know, a diet, once you hear what people eat, it's just, you just sit there and go, well, you're right. I know exactly why. I'm not even doing the food intolerance test yet. I'm not even ordering the blood work, and I can tell you what you should be eating and what you should be avoiding. But we'll do the test because I want to be very specific to help you out. But, you know, I could tell you, maybe getting up and having that sugary cereal with some iced tea is not the best thing for you, because the iced tea is made with the best things on earth. Right?
Iced tea all day. Iced tea all day. Sweet tea, sweet tea, sweet tea, sweet tea.
That's right. In the South and the Southwest, my family migrated to North Carolina. Tea is like huge. You go to Georgia, it's huge. It's huge. Sweet tea, it's huge.
Yes.
And you're sitting there and you're saying it's sweet because you got sugar in it. And the debate rages on with sugar. I'm not a big sugar type of a person. You know, listen, if you're 20 years old and you're an athlete, you know, it's not. I mean, but if you're 50 years old and, you know, you've been diagnosed with cardiovascular disease, I'm not too sure that sugar is going to be the best thing.
It's going to be a problem.
It's going to be a problem. You know, I used to be more strict than I am today. But you know, listen, if you have a can of a diet sugary cola every 6 weeks, you know, but tell me, when you get a client in, they're having 8 of these puppies a day. They're not having 1. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're right.
Right. And then they have other poor habits where they're smoking, right? And they're eating poorly. It's just it's just a perpetual spiral downward. So what do you bring to the table when it comes to your clients?
So the clients that I see on a daily basis they call it therapy sessions. And Um, I tend to agree because you start working with someone, and when they initially come in, they come in for it has something to do with something that's been bothering them. So once we decide, okay, this is the treatment and you want to start, then I start asking about their food and how they eat. And then they start telling me about their life. You know, I might ask about job or whatever if I don't already know them. So most of the time, and I said this, I was thinking this the other day, I don't know how I keep track of the different clients because I've had over 144 clients, but I am able to remember things about what we've talked about before. So when I know they have a vacation coming up, so some clients come in and that's their sleep time. They come and they go to sleep while I work on them, and not all the time, but there's a lot that we talk about relationships, we talk about kids, we talk about the job, we talk about all kind of things. So what they're getting from me is they're able to come here, come to my studio, and this is safe space. They're getting work done, they get to relax, and then they leave and so they came in looking one way. It's not going to be it's not going to be like oh my God, but it's always progressive because they get to see their pictures at the beginning and the end of the session.
And it takes time, people. It's not something that happens overnight.
Never.
It doesn't happen overnight.
I don't care what the infomercial said. It doesn't even take 30 days. It doesn't even take, a lot of times it takes
it could take
6 months. It could take 6 months or more.
It could take listen, you got somebody come in that's 500 pounds. This is years of
neglect.
And this is going to take years of sitting there and saying, because there's going to be failures during that time because because they have the emotional eating going on and so forth and so on. Well, do you know we're at almost 50 minutes right now?
Oh, dang, time is going by fast.
Goes by fast. So we're going to have you on and we're going to talk about stark naked nutrition and what you do to take a client through and how you do that. I think this is a good place to do that. We may actually do a live so people can ask questions. That'd
be great.
That would be exciting, Felicia.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, Felicia.
Great
that's
idea.
Great. And we can go and we can see if we can get some people to come on.
Yes.
And you can take us through what you do with a client when they come in. But I have one more question.
Okay.
If you could give somebody listening to this 3 tips for success, 3 things to change their life for the positive, 3 things to motivate them, what would they be?
Remember to take everything that you face one day at a time, one rep at a time, one meal at a time, one step at a time. Number 2, it's you versus you. So if you didn't do it, if it didn't happen and you had control of it, it's because of something you didn't do. And number 3, there's nothing that you will face that you and God cannot handle.
That's right. I love that. I'm writing these down because these are going in the show notes. So there you go. I love that. I love the last part of it. So, Felicia, it's about time you came onto the podcast.
It's about time. Thank you.
It's about time you came onto the podcast, Felicia. So we're gonna set one up in August. So you're going to take a look at your calendar, but I want to thank everybody for listening in today. I know Felicia, she's a friend. I love what she said today. Support system, it's you against you, emotional eating, confidence, things that happened in the past. Just because you started somewhere doesn't mean that you end somewhere. My favorite basketball player from the New York Knicks, Clyde Frazier, said that where I started is not where I ended up. And you don't have to end up there. Felicia went from a size 16 to a size 4. Remarkable transformation, by the way. One of my favorite people now. So there you go. So I want to thank everybody for listening. Live your best life. Felicia, thank you for coming on. hold off a second before we get off, and we're going to talk about, another podcast live. So thank you very much for
Thanks, Dr.
coming on.
Dan.
Awesome. Anytime. So I want to thank everybody for being here. Live your best life, and we will talk soon. Take care.